yeah.
residency, but that was a factor for sure. But she'll love it. Has she gotten in yet, or is she applying right
I
now?
had an interview today
Welcome,
Good to see you. Yes, yes.
Takes a lot of relief
at
off.
MUSC. So in
Oh, yeah, Charleston. Yeah, my partner. That's where.
How close are you to them?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Charleston's great.
Well, now
Yeah.
I live with them.
I'm fine.
So real close, real close.
Okay.
Changes lifestyle.
I think
Yeah.
she was on.
Oh,
But she was, but she was going to the one.
She's in. I mean, that's what.
Well, we don't know because I don't have that interview today.
She interviewed there today. And well, it's a very stressful. It is, but she'll do it. She'll do fine. She's done everything she can
Yeah,
at
she
this
has.
point.
She has.
Yeah,
Now what she needs to do with that.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, keep me updated on that. I'd like to hear. Yep.
Let me ask you this.
Just trying to use
Because usually when I'm taking this and moving it from the here.
Either way,
Okay.
Kitty in Australia? Yeah.
Jeff, dude, Grant. 6:31, it's time to start, isn't it? You need to snap me too.
I was giving you another minute.
Folks, before we start the public forum, if you just bow your heads for a moment of silence before we start. Amen. I always think about Tom. Tom reminded me years ago that I don't pray before a meeting because of all the conflict and so forth, other towns and so forth. But Tom always remembered when I ask for a moment of silence at the end, I always say amen. So that's for your prayers. Okay. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda for the public forum. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I have a motion from Commissioner Alexander. Do I have a second? Second from Mayor Pro Tem Blake. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor is open for public comments, you two, three.
Good evening, everybody. As a expatriate and refugee, I have crossed the border tonight successfully and come down to greet
We're
you.
aware of that.
Advice not solicited is seldom worth much attention. Advice not only not solicited but paid for seldom gets any. So I realize this is might be pointless, but I have a thought I wanted to share. My very important word is paradigm. This is a fantastic group, smart folks, smarter than most towns get, and everybody's got their opinions on things, and they're, sound. A paradigm is when, okay, there's a sound opinion here, but I really hadn't looked at it this other way. And I actually am asking that you look at this another way. Some years ago, I don't know how many, water has been a big issue for the town. And the 3 wells in Graybeard were just a godsend. It just completely changed things. We no longer had to buy water from Black Mountain or some and so forth. And Steve, our public works director, they worked so hard and they got those wells in and it was successful. And the major piece of that was a storage tank that was engineered and permitted and ready to go up there so that you had the 3rd tank of a 3-legged stool. So that you had a supply of water with this both volume and weight to feed your water system. And there was a controversy over a building they were going to build on Florida Terrace, and that fell apart, and lawsuit and some money to spend. And so, quite rightly, there wasn't the money to do that. And in the years since, there's always been something else and not the money to do that. The fire department's going to be here tonight. We don't ever, usually, we don't get security systems unless we've been robbed or thought we might be. And if we ever are robbed, we always get one. We've been really lucky. We've had one fire on the East Ridge, and it didn't come down too far. The fire breaks worked and so forth. A few houses were lost in Black Mountain. I think any of us can think back and remember Gatlinburg, when people killed. With our little skinny roads, we're at risk. And tonight, with the dry, we're at risk. And so that third tank is so important in maintaining the volume, not just they were able to get Bill Waterstrat's fire out when his chimney caught on fire, but they didn't have the volume required if the whole house was engulfed. And if you've got some fire that's moving down the road, we don't have that capacity to sustain very long. So having that extra gallons of water with the weight and quantity will make a huge difference in saving this town if we have that rare fire. And so I'm asking that you look at it, that it's been put off because of good reasons and good thinking. But if you looked at it from the other side, gosh, I wish we had done that before something happened. I'm encouraging you to consider finding where you can get that in your multi-year plan and where there's actually a commitment not to put it, because it's made it in the 5-year plan every year just about, but it's always put off. I'm just urging you to consider getting that in because it could save half the town. And more importantly, it could save some lives. Because if we had a bit of wind and a fire, people in Gatlinburg couldn't escape, they just were killed. And so I would encourage you, you're right to think there are other issues. You're right to think we can't do it right now. I think it also could be right to say, we can't ignore it anymore. Thank you.
Wade, to my knowledge, this board has never even discussed that, and I've been on the board and the mayor for over 10 years, and I don't remember it ever coming up.
I know that Steve had it on your retreat agenda when he was there, and I know Barry has been interested in it, but
Where's the tank, Wade? Where's
Right by the wells.
the location?
it's right, so you know where the caboose is.
Yeah,
So between the caboose and your wells is your property, and there's a piece of your property that the tank is only 100,000 gallons, I think. But it was engineered, it was designed, sited, and permitted. And that's when the new town hall on Florida Terrace disrupted things.
You talking about an additional tank to the one that's already up there?
There's no tank up there.
We only have two. There's one up on.
Oklahoma?
Right, Appalachian.
Okay.
it's just a
Appalachian
well
and-
up there.
And so those are your two, and it's, so the water depends on what's going on. The water that I get at our new house can be coming from the water tank on Appalachian.
Would
Because
a,
it's-
would a,
Okay.
All three tanks are designed to be within a foot or two of each other. The water is actually balanced, and it's all engineered to do that. So you have the site, you have the engineering, you have the thing, and you can just imagine if a few people died.
would a third tank increase water pressure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You've got, it's a three-legged stool.
Mhm.
So you've got, it's pushing from Harmony and it's pushing from Appalachian. But that third leg, it's just sort of gentle. My water pressure, even with the 3 wells, is only 40 pounds. So we had to, we pumped it, and we knew we were up in Graybeard. But that's an issue we handle with a special tank. And we have iron in the water, we handle that with another tank. But fire, you've got to have the pressure. And if you talk to the fire department, they'll say, well, the best we can do is when we don't have the pressure is we can tie it to a fire hydrant and load a pumper, reload a pumper, so that we can start pumping water again. But when fire is moving, you're out of options. And because our roads are canopied, all of our roads are canopied, then with, overhead, it could, with wind, we could just be disastrous. So I'm merely
Wade,
encouraging, yes.
is there a water hydrant there now in that
There
area?
is one, but no pressure. There's nothing you can do to it. There's one up
It's just the
there.
pressure from the 3 wells that are up there.
Yeah. and
But
so
it
that's-
does have pressure, I mean.
No, so I think they could hook up pumper to it and whatnot and suck it out of the hydrant into a tank in the fire truck, so they could put out in the fire pit by the caboose.
You don't suck water out of a fire hydrant. I've drove and operated fire trucks for 3 years. And
Right.
you don't suck water out.
So, but, so then
It's either there or it's not there.
you've got to rely
You
on.
suck water out of a lake.
Right, that's what we did when we had that east fire, they pumped it. But those 6-inch water lines we have over there, they're always full. I mean, there's not air in them there, and they get that pressure from Appalachia. But anyway, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Who's next? Anyone? Want to sing a song or perform a dance or anything? The forum started, I don't know how many years ago. It was the first term when I served as mayor. We had a board retreat. And Ann Vinson made the motion. Kitty Fouché had campaigned on the fact of having a forum, but Ann Vinson made the motion, and the motion passed unanimously. And here we are, how many years later, 8 or 10 years later, that we're still doing the forum. Sometimes there are lots of people who want to talk, and sometimes there are people who don't want to talk, like tonight. So if no one else has anything at all, if you have anything, raise your hand and I'll recognize you. If not, we'll adjourn until our meeting starts at 7. Okay. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until 7. I have a motion from Commissioner Widmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Dasher. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned until 7 o'clock. Thank you. Folks, I've got 7 o'clock. I want to call this meeting to order and ask that we all stand together and face the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's stand just a moment of silence. Remember the folks in Ukraine and remember the folks in conflict in Israel and Syria. Amen. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda and hopefully had a chance to review it. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Have a motion from Commissioner Widmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Alexander. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes carry. We have a presentation now to the council from the Black Mountain Fire Department. Thanks for coming up, guys.
Yeah. Do you want me to introduce you? So this is Fire Chief John Coffey from the Black Mountain Fire Department. With him tonight is Deputy Chief Jim Bingham. And thank you all for being here. I look forward to your annual report.
I just wanted to say we want to be more, yeah, that's, I don't want to break it. All right. So, we're firefighters. No, but I just want to say thank you for inviting us, and we do want to be more inclusive in the town of Montreat since we are your fire department. And so, just with that little note there, I'm going to hand it over to Deputy Chief James Bingham here, and he's got a presentation for you.
Thank you, sir.
Check on Lucas back.
There we go.
You want to loosen that little thing right there, the whole thing down here, down toward the base.
The metal part.
This side.
Yeah.
There you go. See it? Raise it up some.
I can do that, that don't matter. That'll be fine. Y'all lived here your whole life? Anybody? I've been in this department for 24 years come January.
Wow.
I've proudly served Black Mountain and Montreat my entire career. So just, it's gonna be a little bit of history plus information about what we do, how we do it, and how we get there. So, for 20 plus years, when I come to work, we were a Class 4 department. In 2018, we graduated to a Class 3, which training is a culmination of aspects that come to this. Class 3 is better than a Class 4. It improves insurance rates. So, and not to the,
There you go.
there it
There
is.
you go.
Nope. It's not working like it should. Okay. The Black Mountain Fire Department was established in 1919 as a volunteer organization. It changed over to a combination department in 1962, which to this present day is still a combination of paid and volunteer. The Black Mountain Fire Department is a dedicated workforce of highly motivated and technically skilled professionals of rapid response. It is our purpose to protect life and preserve property. We're a profession that knows no limit to what we will respond to. We must prepare without constraint to meet challenges of our chosen profession. There's all kinds of responses that we have to respond to. Wild land, hazardous materials, structure fires, MVAs, We do all sorts of rescues, medical, technical rescues, confined space rescues. There's just it seems limitless at times at what all we have to be proficient at to be successful. There's wildland rescue, and this is one of my favorites. That's a live LP burn, and that's actual Woods Fire live footage, not recently, but we've changed a lot over the years. The concept stayed the same, but the apparatus has changed, the cost has changed. That's a 1969 American LaFrance that was purchased in 1970 for $32,000. That 2018 KME was purchased in 2018, fully equipped for $482,000. So, you know, changes. Hold on a minute and we'll get to present day. This is a graph of the last 3 years' calls. Of course, 2023 only goes to October. Kind of stays the same as it, you know, ebbs and flows. And I can break it down by the week, which day of the week has the most calls. That's, thank goodness for our RMS presentations. Even the peak hours of calls, lunchtime and dinner time.
Uh-oh.
Right in the middle of when we want to sit down and eat. So, here's a graph.
Do those all include the false alarms that you have to come to my tree for?
Well, I'll get to that here in a minute. I mean, I actually broke it down for just Montreat. It's not that bad considering. We seem like we come up here a lot, but it's not a lot. As you can see, they're broke down in different categories: fire rescue, hazardous condition, no fire, service calls, good intents, false alarms, which you can see is a pretty good number. Severe weather, natural disaster, and special incident type. Anybody know what fire this is? Anybody remember that? That's a Black Mountain stove and chimney.
Oh, yeah.
They had that out in just a few minutes. Luckily, it's all exterior. Our heat map. This is our total district. Black Mountain serves a total of, if you want to count our mutual aid, that we have a mutual aid agreement with McDowell County because we have the quickest access to High Rock Acres. So, including that, we have 56.73 square miles, which is pretty big area for 24 full-time employees, but you only have 7 a day, 7 on each shift, and then 3 daytime. The town of Black Mountain is 6.71 square miles with a population of about 8,500. The East Buncombe Fire District, which is what Montreat is encompassed in when it comes to these numbers, is 13,983. So, and here's Montreat. I had to zoom in a little bit. It's not, you can't see it. That hot spot right there is more than likely Anderson Auditorium. Or Anderson Hall, sorry, Anderson Hall, the dorm.
That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Up here on the top, that's Graybeard. We've had 3 missing person searches, rescues this year. So a total of 100 for Montreat for this year, which is not that bad. I've seen worse. Training, this is a good one. We're required each personnel is required 240 hours of annual training, 16 hours of facility training, 12 hours of driver's training if you're a certified driver. And if you're a new driver, you got to have 60 hours of new driver training that year. 12 hours of officer training, 192 hours of company training, and 6 hours of hazmat. Luckily, with this past year when we got rated, we just got rated in August, and effective February 1st of 2024, we will stay at Class 3. And like I was saying, we only had one firefighter. He was a new recruit, and he required 240 hours. He had about 580. He's a ball of fire, and we love it. Like I said, we have 24 full-time employees with a total of 6,538 hours of training, which averages about 272. So we're above our 240 required, which is a good thing. Different types of training. If you know what this is building G at Gibbons Highland Farms. We were given the privilege to go in there and tear it up before they demolished it. We invited Asheville because we get mutual aid credit for training. We do public education in the schools. The big thing every year is Fire Prevention Week. We go to the schools teaching the kids, teach us too, because they help us. But that's not the only time we go to the schools. Throughout the year, we'll go, and certain ones will go and just have lunch with them, just spend time. We have station tours. I know y'all heard of Safety Saturday. They try to do it in May, weather permitting. One year we got postponed, 2 different times? The town done Citizens Academy, which Miss Parrish is well familiar with that. We do the temperature car. That's compliments of WNC Safe Kids, just to show how hot a car can get sitting in the sun. And like that one shows 147 degrees on an 89 degree day. And then station tours. Community risk reduction. Did you email that out yet? Okay, and I brought some flyers for y'all, and you can post here at Town Hall. Community, Black Mountain Community Connect. It's a bank level security application that if you have a smartphone, smart device, you can scan that barcode, and if anybody at your house has health problems or pets, or they can't get around, just anything that we need to know prior to going there, it's safe as can be. So if you create an account, we get dispatched to your house, we get a little icon that pops up, and we hit it, and it tells us everything that you've put in prior to us getting there. Basically, you're pre-planning your house for us, because we cannot pre-plan it without asking. Businesses will just walk in and say, we're here to pre-plan, because it's mandated, but not residents. But yeah, if possible, as many in Montreat take advantage of this would be great. Moving forward, this is our recent acquisition. This is a 2023 custom fire Class A pumper, $720,000 as it sits, and that's not fully equipped. So in 5 years, prices went up over $300,000. This truck will do everything we need it to do. It's replacing a 2004, which will be moved to reserve status. So if one of our first out trucks goes down, we just move it into its place until it's repaired.
What's the number on the side of that truck? You see it in town.
This one would be engine 4.2. And it'll be the prettiest one. Because it's the newest. The other one is engine 4. Our goals for next inspection is a Class 2. That is some lofty goals. I think we can get there with the help from everyone. We almost maxed out on training credit. We're like 1 point of getting max credit, but the next inspection is due in 5 years, and I would love to have a third station with a ladder truck, 3 personnel per shift, and that's going to increase our service delivery reduce our response times. And if we can get a training facility at that third station where we're not having to travel to Woodland to get our mandated facility training every year, we can train every day at this place. It'll increase our credits, our points. It'll strengthen our deployment analysis, which further decreases our divergence factor, which that's null and void to y'all because I don't know what that is. But the way ISO rates us is our deployment analysis is the fire department has 50 points. It's what we strive to get. And then water supply, they subtract that. That is your divergence. And if you don't have a ladder truck, you don't even get to use the deployment analysis. So just trying to give you a little play of the game. It's all about numbers, just like in town government. It's all about numbers, knowing what to do when to do it. So, but I appreciate you. If y'all ever need anything, if you got any questions, feel free to ask.
Is there any correlation between fires at supper time and people cooking?
Well, honestly, we don't have that many fires at supper time. It's may have fire alarms, but more often it's medical calls. A lot of our structure fires are occurring late at night, early in the morning.
Well, we in Montreat certainly don't take you guys for granted, and we appreciate every time y'all come up here and every time you respond, and y'all are just great, and we do appreciate it. We know well that y'all are our fire department as well as Black Mountains. And what can we do to help y'all? Can't buy a truck. We don't have that kind of budget.
Well, I know this ain't on Montreat, but with the college's master plan, with what they're planning on doing, that's going to increase our divergence factor because 3-story buildings has an effect on our rating, whether they're wanting to put 4 or 5-story dorms down there. So that's going to have an effect on it as well. But I'll get back to you on that, on what y'all can do.
Please do, because the commissioners in the community would love to do what we can to support you guys because y'all respond so well to us, and we appreciate it.
Well, just a bug in your ear. Not 5 years, but maybe 10. I wouldn't mind having a substation up here.
I was going to ask you if that's where you were going to put the station for the ladder truck. But I guess with the expansion down in Black Mountain, you're going to have it near the dorms.
Well, it'll have to be centrally located because to get the maximum points, it has to be within 2.5 miles of the call. So centrally located, the engine, that will make it the majority of the whole district. You can't put it on the west end of the district and expect to get full credit when it's not within 2.5 miles.
How much of a problem is that railroad track for you guys?
Not as much as it used to be because there is very limited traffic anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. No coal, not much coal, and no wood going up the road.
I bet you don't see 2 trains a week. And they're the short trains. Used to, we had a schedule at the firehouse laying there beside the dispatch. We used to be self-dispatched, and every day it would tell us when a 100-car coal train was coming through every day, and it was sometimes twice a day. No more.
Well, we thank you guys. Any other commissioners' questions? Anybody have anything? Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, let's thank y'all. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, there is one thing I wanted to add. So part of the fire department's future plans, as well as also being more active in community risk reduction in the community. So we're going to be offering more opportunities for the citizens to be able to help us help them. There's several programs out there for fall prevention programs. There's programs that we can start, such as a community, are you familiar with CERT? So it's a community emergency response team. So that's something that's funded through FEMA and through emergency management, that if we were to start something like that, the citizens would be able to contribute as far as if we ever had someone lost in the woods or whatnot. So there's a program for community members to get training and have an emergency response team, even if it's something as needed as an evacuation, because there's only one way in and one way out through here. So there's lots of opportunities for the community to get involved, but there's also a need to reduce the risk as much as possible. One of the things me and the fire marshal are putting together is a program for providing a defensible space around your home. If you look at the county commissioner meeting in Buncombe this past Tuesday, Deputy Director Ryan Cole had a presentation on there that talks about creating defensible space around your home in case of a forest fire. So just, it's a whole other class. I don't want to waste your time tonight with it, but rule of thumb is you want to have 100 feet of defensible space around your home. But we are going to put those messages out there and offer those opportunities for education.
We do that 100 foot of defensible space around our homes. We blow all our leaves in our neighbors' homes who aren't here during the off season. Thank y'all so much, and we look forward to participating in that program. Okay, folks, we've adopted the agenda. It's time for my communication. And the first thing I want to do tonight is, whereas the guinea fowl have been a special part of Montreat's scene for years, and whereas the guinea fowl are excellent pest protection, consuming ants, roaches, flies, wasps, termites, worms, grubs, and snails, as well as mice, and whereas guinea fowl are low-maintenance birds that can fly, roost in trees, lay as many as 30 eggs or more during their laying period, and whereas they have been known to scare off cats, ferrets, weasels, and even hawks. They have also been known to, as a group, attack foxes and snakes, while also giving loud warnings against these predators, and whereas they do not like to be held, and have a lifespan of 10 to 15 years, that's except in Montreat, and are very cold, hardy fowl. And whereas, when seen by the residents and visitors of Montreat alike, proclaim a "Look, there are the guineas." Now therefore it be resolved that I, as mayor of Montreat, with the support of the Montreat Board of Commissioners, do hereby declare the guinea fowl as the official bird of Montreat, North Carolina, this 9th day of November, 2023. And Walter, will that get you off my back for the next 10 years? Walter, I have one here that'll go in the minutes, but Angie, you already given it to him? Good. He's got a parchment looking one. It's great. Now to the serious business. Whereas the Presbyterian Heritage Center, the PCH, was formed in 2007 in Montreat as an educational, theological, and historical organization, and whereas Ron Vincent became its first executive director in 2008, and whereas Ron transformed an empty building into a nationally respected institution conducting research and gathering material on Presbyterian and Reformed history and theology, Montreat history, Presbyterian global mission, and whereas Ron is renowned in the large and prestigious community of historians, archivists, exhibit creators, and speakers, and whereas through his presentations and exhibits painted in vivid clarity the lives of missionaries, ministers, soldiers, laborers, women of faith, and people of all walks of life. And whereas PCH, through Ron's tireless work, has become an important destination for Montreat visitors and hosts more than 10,000 visitors annually. And whereas Ron is retiring from the Presbyterian Heritage Center effective December the 31st, 2023, with 16 years of dedicated service. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the citizens of Montreat, the commissioners and staff of the town of Montreat, and I, Tim Helms, mayor of the town of Montreat, do hereby declare Ron Vincent as an iconic person worthy of praise and veneration this 9th day of November 2023.
I just want to say that I don't regret it, but I want it in the record that my last official archival decision is to put the guinea hens in the proper place in our archive.
Oh, Ron, nobody can ever top you, I swear. And I know you are not real happy with these kind of events, so you and Ann can leave whenever you want to, okay? And I coerced her into getting you here, and I appreciate it, because Ron has meant a lot to this community and will continue to mean a lot to this community for a long, long time, Ron. Promise? Okay. Thank y'all. Leave, Ann, if you want to. Me, I didn't say you could leave. She knows better.
Those who know me in my street know that it's my bedtime.
Please. Thanks again, Ron, for all you've done. I know she did. I knew she wasn't going to stay. She comes about once every 4 years after I run for office. The consent agenda, you want to cover that, Savannah?
On the consent agenda tonight, we just have the public forum meeting minutes from October 12th, along with the council meeting minutes from October 12th.
You want to go right into Commissioner's report?
Absolutely. So I just have a couple quick things to mention. The first being that the town of Montreat joined Buncombe County in a declaration of state of emergency, which prohibits all outdoor burning because of the danger that we're in right now with the very dry conditions. So outdoor burning is prohibited. That includes fire pits, chimeneas, all of those kinds of things. You can use your grill though. So more details on that on our website. We also, we have a presentation from our auditors on the agenda tonight. But before they speak, I just want to take a quick moment and thank Rachel, our finance officer, for all of her hard work. She has been really incredible to get this done. And so I just wanted to recognize her.
Thank you. Commissioners, you were furnished with administrative reports from the Administration Department, Planning and Zoning, Police, Public Works and Water, Sanitation, Streets, Finance, and additional planning and zoning information. Are there any questions and/or comments on any of those reports? Hearing none, we'll move along. Next item on the agenda is for any public input. Anybody want to speak about anything regarding the meeting? Hearing none, we'll move right along. We have no old business. Under new business, we have the presentation of the annual comprehensive financial report for 2023. And this is Livonia, is that right? Livonia,
Yes.
Livonia Reese of Fran Noel Accounting Firm.
Fran is actually one of the auditors that works with us. So she and I were trying to figure out who was going to divide and conquer and make sure we could be here.
And you lost the coin toss, didn't you?
Well, I volunteered, so I put my hand up. I'm not as entertaining as the firefighters or the previous presentation, and I am not offended that half the people left before the audit. So, and I'm also going to tell the auditors when I get back to the office in the morning that firefighters have 240 hours of training, so they should not complain about our 40 hours of training per year. So thank you guys. I appreciate you letting us continue to serve as your auditors. I would like to echo the commendations for Rachel and say Fran has been involved with this audit, I think, for the past 2 years. Melissa Riddle has been involved since inception. I believe this is year number 4, if I was thinking about it correctly on the way over here. And this has been the best year yet. So Melissa said, this has been a really good year. It went smoothly, even though we had staffing transitions. And so that's always a concern from our standpoint, that things aren't going to be timely. They're not going to be as accurate. We're learning a new person, but this has been the best year so far. So I did want to say that. And you guys only saw me once in the past year, so that's even better, right? So, and I'm showing up in early November, so a continual improvement on everybody's part. So I just want to give you, so your financial statements are about 100 pages long, and I'm not going to go through 100 pages of financial information because everybody behind me would be gone at that point. But just a few highlights. We met with the audit committee earlier in the week. I believe it was on Tuesday. The days have all run together this week. But we did not issue an internal control letter. If we identify issues that rise to the level of significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we are required to communicate those in writing. For the second year in a row, we have had no internal control issues. We had no disagreements with management in getting the information we needed, no difficulties also getting the information and getting the audit issued. I did a little bit of research because you mentioned I was going to present the annual comprehensive financial report. We call that the ACFR because accountants like to use acronyms for everything. But in the state of North Carolina, there are over 1,100 units of government. Over 550 of those are municipalities. So there are other types of travel and tourism development. There are county libraries, all that fall under the local government commission. I could not find a number of municipalities that issue that ACFR. But if you go onto the North Carolina Local Government Commission website and you start looking at who prepares ACFRs, because it's not required, it is always large counties, Mecklenburg, Buncombe, all of the larger counties in the state of North Carolina, or the larger cities, city of Charlotte. So you guys are in small company considering the size of your organization. But what that means is you put great effort into producing your financial statements. The introductory section, which has your transmittal letter, some other related information, along with the statistical section in the back, which is about 20-ish pages, is not required. It takes a lot to gather that information and to present that. So not a lot of municipalities issue an ACFR. There was no compliance, stewardship, or accountability violations noted in the current year. So that would be if there was budget violations, over expenditures, budget imbalance, any of those, there was none reported in the financial statements. You were in compliance with your fund balance policy. You're required by policy to have 35% or more of budgeted expenditure. So budgeted is the key word there, as unassigned fund balance. So at 6/30/23, you had about 950,000, which was 46% of those, excuse me, Budgeted expenses. We issued unmodified opinions on the financials, and I say opinions, which is different for auditors because typically we're issuing an opinion, just singular on those financial statements. But for local government, it is at the government-wide level and then at each major fund. General fund is always a major fund on the governmental side, but then you also have a major enterprise fund, which is also your water fund. So those require special schedules. You have several capital projects and special revenue funds that were closed in the current year. So after your notes to the financial statements and your required supplementary information, you find all of those schedules and you can see where those were transferred, the closing of those funds were transferred over into the general fund. And then also, if all of that wasn't enough, because you had ARPA money, so American Rescue Plan Act, along with Powell Bill. So Powell Bill has been is always ongoing for municipalities. The ARPA monies, when you receive it and spend it, so if you meet a certain threshold for expenditures for combined federal and state, so ARPA is federal monies, Powell Bill is state monies, then you're required to have a compliance audit. So you cross that threshold in 2023. So that's why you have the compliance report. And so we have to do specific procedures in order to test compliance with those funds. And there was no issues as a result of that compliance audit. So just a couple of actual financial information. For the total assets increased about 300,000. A lot of your increase again is closing out those special revenue funds and moving things over. Total liabilities increased about 270,000 because you had about a 350,000 increase in your pension liabilities. So the local government commission again provides those. It's based on an actuarial valuation at the North Carolina state level. And so they give us access to those reports, and those journal entries have to be made. They give you each municipality. It's kind of a fun spreadsheet to look at it. On your long-term liabilities, most of your long-term is your debt, your town hall debt, which is about almost $800,000, and pensions is $538,000. So of your long-term debt, almost $2 million, $538,000 of that is related to pensions. So net position, net worth, if we were talking in for-profit terms, a net position increased overall government-wide about $280,000 for 2023. So net position ending was almost $9 million. So increasing net position up to nearly $9 million. I lost track on my sheet. Couple things on the general fund. Fund balance just in the general fund was about 1.7 million, which was an increase of 500,000 over the previous year. Again, I'll go back to moving over some of those funds and closing those special revenue and capital projects into the general fund. Yes, sir.
Could you explain the difference between the 1.7 million in the fund balance versus the 950,000 available fund balance?
So the fund balance of let me find my place on my paper again. So the 1.7 million is just the general fund balance. And so the 950,000 is what's required. So that's the unassigned fund balance. So included in fund balance, there's different types of restrictions. So if you have restrictions for streets, Powell Bill money, the LGC requires a restriction on state stabilization, which is a mathematical calculation for determining what that is. We have no control over that. You have no control over that. So it's not something that funds come in. It's the state says you have to restrict this. So it is basically the remainder of the fund balance that's not restricted. And that's the 950.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, goodness. Operating loss on the water fund. So there was about a $17,000 loss in the water fund. Transfer came over from the general fund, which left it at a positive balance. So about an increase in net position of $5,000. Total property valuation for the town that's subject to levy. So we had a little bit of discussion about that in the audit committee. So the valuation that's on your supplemental schedules, that is the property value subject to levy, which was about 293 million as of June 30, 23. And then your back schedules show you those historic property values and how those have gone up. And then the town has consistently maintained nearly 100%, so 99.93%. On property tax collection, and that's gross. That includes both property taxes and also registered motor vehicles.
And I know we asked this in the audit committee, but we don't have a valuation on the unlevied property valuations, do we?
There is not in the financial statements that I could find that of the difference between the total property value and then what's reported in the financials, since it's only what's subject to levy.
Thanks.
Any other questions, commissioners? Anybody? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just wanted to remind you, the final reports will be printed once the LGC gives their blessing. They have been known, as you're well aware, to have us change a word or two on the financials. So we hold off printing your 100-page reports until we have their blessing. So we hope that's going to happen in the next week or so.
Thank you, ma'am. You stick your head back in here. I was going to thank you, and here you go out the back door. Okay, well, you, Alexander, heads up our audit committee, and we do appreciate all the work that you and your colleagues put into this. And thank you, Livonia. Rachel, I'd thank you again, but I'm afraid all this is going to go to your head. Okay, item B is consideration of text amendment to the Montreat zoning ordinance. Savannah, you going to cover that?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
yes. Kayla is not here, so forgive me as I stumble through this. So Kayla received an application for a text amendment. This came from, is it Sineth Construction? Thank you. Back in September. The applicant is a contractor for a property on Hanover Terrace. And essentially what it is that currently our zoning ordinance has retaining walls defined as structures and requires that retaining walls comply with applicable setback requirements for the zoning district that the property is located on. So after some attempts to relocate the retaining walls that the contractor had put in place at this property, they weren't able to do it. So they found that other jurisdictions permit retaining walls in required setbacks. So what is before you is, in your packet, you'll see that you have the current language that is in our ordinance right now. There is language proposed by staff, and then language that the Planning and Zoning Commission added to staff's recommendation, which is kind of the final product being brought before you tonight is the proposed language from Planning and Zoning Commission.
So Planning and Zoning has seen this and more or less put their blessing on it with the changes.
Yes, they are recommending the change, and I know that Commissioner Blake has some thoughts.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Dan Dean on the phone, spent a lot of time looking at this. Not enough with respect to the change to Article 6 development provisions. I think that the change to definitions, which is section 201 of Article 2 of the code, is fine. The changes that the Planning and Zoning made to it were good. I think it works. And all it does is essentially solve the problem that was brought to the town, which is we got to put this retaining wall in the setback, and it does that. The second change really isn't a change. The first change in 201 was a revision. The second change was really a whole new provision, okay? It's a whole new restriction that we don't have in our current code. It's frequently in codes. It's not directly related, frankly, to the request. It just sort of grew out of it. What it deals with are site triangles, okay? This has nothing to do with putting a stone wall in your setback. This is where you've got an intersection, and the site triangle is defined by the code, and it started out just to be a restriction with the wall when planning and zoning added also a reference to a vegetation in the site triangle. And all of that may be good, guys. All of that may be good, but I don't think anybody has gone out in the field and tested and to see what this does to us. To take a look at the right-of-way, the width right-of-way, to measure some triangles. I mean, Barry, have you done that? No, sir. I don't think anybody's done it. And before we pass a brand-new regulation that's not regulated now and set a bunch of hard numbers to, okay, if it's this 40-foot right-of-way, then it's going to be set back so many feet, and all vegetation can't be 36 inches, which means, are we not going to have some trees? Well, the trees have to be cut down in some of these triangles that we draw. Well, maybe that's okay, but until we test it on the ground, I'm not comfortable with passing it. And so I intend, if we don't table the second part of this, to vote against it, so at least we've got two readings. But I just wanted to share with the commission, because I do have some familiarity with the zoning code, that I think the first change is perfectly fine, but I would move to table the second change, creating, and that's really what we're doing. And again, it may be a great idea, these site triangles. I just think it needs more work than it's gotten. Yeah. And frankly, talking with Dan, P&Z was focused on the citizens problem and got that, and really didn't focus so much on the triangles. So
you're proposing that we pass the citizens portion, which everybody is in agreement on, but hold off on the sightlines or table the sightlines section.
That's right. Till we know, and we've got Kayla here, and we can answer that she's been on the ground. If she can't answer that, I don't want her to bring it to us until she's done it.
Okay.
And
we can have her
and see
go
whether
out.
this ordinance works or not on the ground in Montreat as we know it.
I attended that planning and zoning meeting, and I couldn't make the correlation why we were going here when we were really looking at at the main idea of the retaining wall. So I'm glad we're going to do that.
Well, can you make a motion that makes sense out of all these?
I move, let me see what the motion, suggested motion. Okay. I'm going to move that we approve that portion of text amendment TA 2023-01 of the Montreat zoning ordinance that is in Article 2, specifically with regard to Section 201 of Article 2, and that we table the balance of that text amendment, specifically that portion of the text amendment that is in Article 6 and Section 621. And I think that's all I need to do.
I have a motion to approve Article 2 and table Article 6. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor of the motion then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Consideration of financial policy. Savannah?
Yes, so I have the comprehensive financial policy along with the debt management policy in your packets tonight. There is no pressure to pass these tonight if you all have questions or you don't feel ready to. But what these policies are, and there are a couple more coming down the line, that the Local Government Commission, which Livonia referenced in her presentation about the audit, they want us to have these in place. Rachel and I have been working to clean up a lot of our financial policies. We need to get in writing a lot of the things that we're already doing. So that's what this comprehensive financial policy does. It also puts into place some new things that make the commissioners more involved in the budgeting process and formalizes some of those things. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I also spoke with Commissioner Blake earlier today, and he suggested that we may do a workshop on these policies, go over all the changes in one place, and then bring them back for adoption at the following meeting. So I think that's a very good idea. And however you choose to move forward tonight is fine with me. It's not an emergency to get these passed, but we do need to get it done.
What are the commissioners' wishes?
Would we include the personnel policy in that workshop or that discussion?
We certainly can. Mhm.
I'd like to thank Rachel and Savannah both for this initiative. I think it's terrific. I read through it. I've talked with them about it. I got a few things that I think are great additions. A lot of it does just tell us what we need to be doing and reminding us and putting in writing. But I want to congratulate them on taking the initiative for these policies and the other policies that they're working on.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion then to table this until after the work sessions?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Blake. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Dasher. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to table until we go through a workshop of this and also the personnel policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Floor is open for any public comment. Anyone? Okay. Floor is open for commissioners' communications. Anyone have anything?
I would just like to remind people, especially with winter, especially with the getting darker earlier and later. I've noticed that in the crosswalks around the college and then around MRA, sometimes people are going too fast and not really looking side to side. And I think we need to be very aware of people in those crosswalks, especially the students earlier in the morning and later.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone else?
Rachel, to hear the comments we got from you, from our auditor tonight, I just can't help but say I admire and thank you. Just to hear that from somebody is something special. Thank you.
I agree. For someone who came in here with no governmental accounting background, really, in 3 years now or 2 years?
Not
Really? Gosh, you seem like you've been here forever. Just fell into being such a part.
And
Well-
it's her birthday tomorrow, so everybody tell Rachel happy birthday.
Oh. Well, Mimi's was today and mine is Sunday, so we're all together there.
Party.
Any other communication from commissioners? Let me go over the dates to remember. Open Space Conservation Committee meeting is Tuesday, November the 14th at 3:30 in Town Hall. Town Hall is closed for Thanksgiving holiday Thursday and Friday, November 23 and 24. Tree Board is Tuesday, November the 28th at 9:30 a.m. in Town Hall. December Board of Commissioners meeting, Thursday, December the 14th at 7 p.m. Public forum, of course, will begin at 6:30. here in Town Hall. And Town Hall is closed for Christmas holiday, Monday and Tuesday, December 25 and 26. There are no other announcements, but I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session now, to enter into closed session in accordance with North Carolina Government Statute 143-318, .11, parentheses 6, for discussion of a personnel matter. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Widmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Blake. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll go into closed session. You folks can stay or leave or whatever you want to do. I don't know how long we're going to be. And when we usually come out of these, we don't have anything ready to announce. So